Good afternoon. This is March 20th, 1987. I am Bill Selmier, and Maria Bachnick and I are sitting in the living room of Ambassador Earl Smith at 1021 North Ocean here in Palm Beach.
I'd like to have you say, may I say something?
I
just thought you were there.
Mr. Ambassador, to begin with, can you tell us, will you tell us when you were born and when you first started coming to Palm Beach?
I was born July 1903 in Newport, Rhode Island. And of course, you're born where your mother happened to be at that time. And my mother and my father had a house in Newport, and so on, and I arrived there, and that's the reason for it. Now, I've been coming to Palm Beach with my father and mother, and I came down with him probably well over 60 years ago, because we used to come down in a private car, and in those days we had the wagons of the, what do you call the? Automobile. And they would let us at the train, and there we go. We had a house here, rented. That's it.
All right.
But I haven't been coming here regularly all those years. Then there was a period of time when I went away to boarding school, except we still came down during the holidays, and maybe the Easter holidays, and that was it. Then I moved down here and made this my first personal residence, and it has been my permanent residence. Well, I built this house in 1935, so I've been a permanent resident since I built this house.
I see. And your business was?
I've been a member of the New York Stock Exchange since 1926, and I had my own firm, which is called Pace, Smith and Rennie, and I was the Smith of the senior partner. And that's it.
Your first wife was Consuelo Vanderbilt.
That is correct.
Did you meet her here in town?
No, but my father and her father were very great friends.
I see.
So we knew each other for many years. Probably a few years before we were married, we knew each other. And I left here at the end of, I left here my junior year because I had to get married. And even though my father said the girl will wait for you, she won't wait for you, you're better off not doing it anyway. But I had to marry her, so I left, and I didn't complete my course of year. I left junior year.
And you were married to her for how long?
Well, we were married 9 years.
9 years. With how many children?
36, 35. We had two girls.
And
It was in Iris and Virginia.
Iris and Virginia. Okay.
So was my marriage.
It was long about that time that you founded the Coconuts.
No, coconuts were formed a good deal later than that. The coconuts, there were 30 coconuts. I started it, I called them the Coconuts. And I have to stop and think to give you the exact year. I got scrapbooks here with Thomas House, but you got you one now? I'm going to shut it off a minute.
It was about that time that you started the Coconuts.
Yeah. The original Coconuts, but didn't have the name of the Coconuts then. It was a bachelor party. And Chris Dumpy, who was an old Palm Beacher, was the one who had that group going. But I came in, and after Chris Dumpy died, and took it over, and called it the Coconuts, and limited the number of coconuts to 30. Each coconut, of course, brings his wife, and each coconut has a right to have 2 guests, and their wives. Now there's 4 times 30 right away, you have 120 before you've asked your guests. So there's a great demand for seats every year, to get in, and it's very difficult not to let them in. We have to limit the size to 300. The coconuts for the ballroom hold.
The Coconuts is a social group?
The Coconuts is a group, was a group of bachelors, the way it started. Chris Duffy was a bachelor. And now it's a social group in here where we limit it to our friends. As I just explained to you, we have to keep the seating on it.
And the main function is an AUV dance, correct?
That's the whole thing.
And originally, if I understand it correctly, it was to sort of pay back the hostesses who had...
The way it was started by us was it was a payoff for those people that when we were bachelors who had entertained us, and it was a way of trying to, not to, I don't like that payback word, to show our appreciation. That's it.
Okay. How many of the original coconuts are there?
Alive today?
Yeah.
I'd have to give that a little thought because I haven't been asked that question.
Quite a few of them, aren't there?
Of the original, no, today I keep it to 30. When somebody dies, then we replace them. And I'm resigning from the coconuts this year as the head of it. And I've turned it over to my successor, will be, what the hell is his name?
Guilford Dudley.
Yeah, Guilford Dudley.
Okay.
And he's very anxious to get the sound, nobody's got it.
What was the most interesting coconuts party you can remember?
They're nearly all the same.
Okay.
The only way they changed it was with music. The years we had better music, they're better.
Okay. I understand that you've been pretty active in the Republican Party over the years.
Very active.
And
I started as a precinct committeeman and worked my way up through the party. I became county chairman, chairman of the county committee, state chairman for Florida, Republican National Committee. I never was chairman of the Republican Party, but I was on the Republican National Committee. And I worked very closely with Leonard Hall, who was the National Republican Chairman. And as a result of all that work that I did, I got the job as ambassador to Cuba. Because he was the state chairman, I mean the national chairman, Leonard Hall, and he asked me if I wanted to be an ambassador, and I said yes. And he said, well, I think I can fix it up for you. I can't give you a real big job, I'll give you someone. And he appointed me to Cuba.
do you recall that year exactly?
Well, I can get it out.
That's okay.
I'll give it to you later.
Okay.
It's all in my...
So you went off to Havana during Batista days?
No, Batista, when I was there, Batista was there. And my first job, ordered by the State Department, was to get rid of Batista. And they wanted to get rid of Batista because Batista was a racist dictator. And I had the job to do it, and I went and called on them in the palace, whatever they call it in Havana. And after about 2-hour conversation, I told him I regret it very much, but the State Department believed that he lost effective control. And he knew exactly what I meant, and he left shortly thereafter.
Was that your opinion of the State Department?
That was not my opinion.
Okay.
It was the opinion of the State Department. And as ambassador, I get my orders from the State Department, Secretary of State. Because I certainly didn't want to see Fidel Castro get in, but he did.
Well, that's precisely what happened.
Because he was a communist.
Yeah.
And it was when he came, he said, I'm communist, I've been one all my life, and shall be one till the day I die. It was no secret.
Why do you suppose the U.S. government wanted to get rid of Batista?
Because the career men in the State Department are all lefties, nearly all lefties. And this is a racist dictator, Batista. And
well, it was for political rather than economic reasons.
oh yes, definitely political.
All right. And you
The
subsequently...
best year that Cuba ever had was in the Batista year.
Yeah. And you subsequently wrote a book
Yes, I did.
called
Called The Fourth Floor.
The Fourth Floor.
And now the reason I called it the fourth floor was that is the floor in the State Department building where those career men had their offices over those who were in charge of Latin America.
And you were
That
also...
is the Assistant Secretary of State for Latin American Affairs and his deputies.
You were also ambassador there under Castro.
Yes,
For how long?
not long.
Not long.
No.
You were recalled and...
Yeah, I was recalled because for two reasons. I didn't want to work with Castro because he was a communist, and number two is that the State Department knew that. So therefore, they sent over a liberal to take my place.
I see. Now,
Now, may I say something to you off the record?
yes. Ambassador Smith, when you were married to Consuelo Vanderbilt and living here in the winter, you must
I
have
was
been...
not married to Consuelo Vanderbilt when I lived here. That was, you see, we got married way back in 1926, I think. Now, wait a minute, 1326, I think it's 1926. And I came down, spent my life really, we only married 9 years. It brings you up to 35, and 35 on I was coming down here nearly every... I was in business, so I couldn't come down too often. But this is my second home in New York.
You weathered the crash of 29.
Oh, yes.
What was life in Palm Beach like during the 29 to 33 years? Was it much different?
Basically, things are always the same because it's the same people. And if it isn't the same people, it's the children and grandchildren and aunts and uncles and brothers and sisters that are here. And the people don't change, it's the times that change.
But the people you know weathered the storm.
In 1929. And a lot of these people that come down here were wiped out. They just made comebacks and came down. All members of the family. And then the 1932 depression, this was probably the worst depression this country's ever seen in 32. That's when they were eating apples and saw people jumping out of windows. And just,
in those days, what was a typical day like for you?
well, in those days I was down here with my father, and I was quite young. If you're talking about the 30s, I was quite young. And I came down here just during my vacations at boarding school and at college.
And did you ever find your way to Bradley's?
Yes.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes. I felt very highly of Mr. Bradley. He was a gentleman, and he was very honest, and he never took advantage of people, and he wouldn't let you gamble if you had too much to drink. I remember him very well.
Did you do much gambling there?
No.
It was mainly a social...
I was young.
Yeah.
I was young then, but I never gambled. I've never been a professional gambler. I mean,
except at work.
Except at work,
yeah. All right. What other things did you do in those days?
But then you see, he was here, and then during the World War II, he moved. His headquarters was down Lake Wood. And when I came back from the war, we'd go down there, but he was always dressed. They demanded that, Mr. Bradley. He had to wear a tuxedo, black tie. And he wouldn't let anybody gamble that had too much to drink. So he didn't, he had a big racing stable, and he wasn't trying to make a living out of the gambling. It came in easy enough for him. You don't have to when you want gambling out. And he ran an honest gambling out and had that reputation. Before
the Depression, before 1929, there must have been some grand parties in Palm Beach.
Well, yeah, but they weren't better than the ones that came later.
Did you know Addison Meisner?
Not well. He was older than I am.
Well, the 20s was a boom time here.
Addison Meisner, that's a long, great period in Palm Beach. Here, a lot of days till the Addison Meisner. What's that?
The 20s was a boom time here.
The 20s were a boom time everywhere in this country.
Well, here the real estate was going bonkers and everything, right?
Well, the real estate's so much higher down here now than it was then.
Well, yeah, but everything's worth different.
The 20s is when the big houses went up.
They're sure this big house went up. See, the 29 crash is where it ended, but that's 29. But the 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, those are big years down here.
Let me ask you about the Second War. What did you do?
World War II?
Yes.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Well, I was overseas 2 years. I ended up as a lieutenant colonel. I went to the Air Combat School in Harrisburg, graduated from there as a captain, and then ended up as a colonel, lieutenant colonel. And I served overseas 2 years.
Where?
In the European theater.
Did you ever have soldiers stay at your house?
What?
Did you ever have soldiers stay at your house in World War II?
No, this house was closed in World War II.
Why?
I rented it
Because
out.
you were gone.
Well, why I was because I was overseas. And when I was here, I was in Washington. When I wasn't in Washington, they had me overseas.
Coming back to Palm Beach after World War
I was
II.
on all the time.
Yeah. How was it different after World War II? How was Palm Beach different after World War II?
Well, no different than it would be in, well, what's the name of the place where Robert Young always used to go to, and down there in Chesapeake, Ohio, at the headquarters, down in South Carolina.
Hilton Head?
No, what the hell is it? You know, there's Hot Springs and the other place. Well, you
South
been to Hot
Carolina?
Springs?
Yeah.
Well, and there's two places, there's Hot Springs and then there's another one.
Greenbrier?
Yeah, Greenbrier.
Yeah.
I mean, all those places were affected the same way.
Yeah.
Repeat your question.
How was Palm Beach different after World War II? Granted, they put up all the houses here after World War II.
Well, then that's a big grant.
Yeah.
And, you know, there are lots still of the real old timers here.
Mm-hmm.
Not the original ones, but their families, the children.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, there are a lot of people that never been here before, families that never been here before. But Palm Beach itself, as a town, has grown a great deal. Palm Beach, actually, I know from being mayor, I was mayor here for 11 years, that the population in the wintertime is 4 times what it is in the summer. It goes from about 10,000 to 40,000. And those are the exact figures, because I used to get them from the town hall.
Let me...
It's a lot different when there are 40,000 people here than the 10,000 people here, because the whole island's, what is it, 7 miles long, if it is that, it doesn't matter.
I don't think so.
It's not very wide. It's not a very big island.
In your term as mayor, what issues did you have to face?
Well, when I decided to run for mayor, I decided to give my full time. Everything in life, every job in life is what you make it yourself. And I said I was going to do that, and I did it. Mm-hmm. And my wife will tell you today, I worked my tail off as mayor. And we accomplished a lot.
What do you count among your major accomplishments as mayor?
Well, I have to have some thinking now. You can't just knock that right out. I could look back in the record, I could get you on. I got a lot of records, you know.
What were the major problems you encountered?
The restriction of building. I'm presently chairman of the Preservation Foundation of Palm Beach. And I fought that battle when I was mayor. And the main thing I did when I was mayor was to try to make the town council enforce the laws that they passed. And the laws they passed were called ordinances. And they restricted the building in that. And whenever they weakened, it was always because the people who wanted to make money would come up to put a 3, 4, 5-story building, and they would get variances from the council. Why? Because they would be sued. No, the builders would threaten suit, and the council was scared they were going to be sued. And so they give in. And that was my main battle, to say, no, if they want to sue me, let them sue me. I don't mind being sued, because they were standing up for a good cause. You know, but they didn't like being sued. Now, if you can look up who the members of the council were, you can get that in all the records, and those are the guys.
Well, do you think you were pretty successful in stopping all what's going on?
No, but we did a good job of retarding it. Now, we did a good job of retarding it. Believe me, this town would be nowhere near what it's like today if we had let it go on with the building. This would have been a second Miami Beach.
Yeah, I must disagree with you there. I think you did a very good job of retarding it. And this place would be junky had people not stood up and said,
that's right.
No.
You see, most people that were down here then weren't interested in Palm Beach. They were interested in making them some money. Period. And the Preservation Foundation, and I carried on with that after I was mayor. And my prime job when I was mayor was to enforce restrictions to enforce the laws, and I've always go before the council and always say, don't pass these ordinances unless you don't enforce them. You made your own laws. Don't give special exceptions. Don't give them. Well, we're going to be sued. Well, let them be sued. I never was sued. You're not going to win every suit. If necessary, we'll raise the fine and have to pay on for you.
Yeah, but we're gonna win most of them.
Yeah, we're going to win more.
Because that's the law.
Sure.
Excuse me, you didn't say when you were mayor. What years were you mayor?
I was mayor for 11 years.
When?
My wife could tell you straight away. She was talking about it the other night. I was mayor. I think I ended about 1978. So that was the 11 years, up to 78.
Those were the toughest years from the standpoint of things you were trying to do, too.
True, I think that's true, yeah.
So is that what you consider your primary gift to the community during your time as mayor, the fact that you toughened up you retarded the ruination of the town?
Well, we put the brakes on it. There's no doubt about that. And the only way we could do it was to kind of sue. Yeah. They say we got we sue. And then the ones who knows something, we can pay for it. As they can raise the money to pay for it, if you go for that. We don't have any trouble with a good cause raise money this time.
One question has to do with the Preservation Foundation. You took that job in what year?
I've only had that job.
Just recently?
Yeah, 3 years.
3 years, something like that.
3 or 4 years.
And the thrust of that organization...
About 4 years.
Yeah. The thrust of that organization is to...
Just exactly what it stands for.
Yeah.
The Preservation Foundation of Palm Beach. Try to keep it what it is, and don't let it become another Miami Beach, and you don't retard things, but you put a halt to it. Now, I can remember Sloan's Curve to Widener's Curve, where we tried to put up the building and raise the money, which I would have no trouble doing and started doing, to protect the walls that kept out the ocean. Now, by God, they're piling it on them, and I'd have to pay 10 times as much. And I can show you in the records, the newspaper clippings, how prophesied this. You didn't have to be smart to do it.
No, that's been coming on.
That's been coming on.
Yes.
And they never put up the money. They never go into it until they have to. And by that time, it cost about 3 or 4 times what it would have done when it was self-evident. But that's not. I'm not the only one to say that, you know.
You don't have to be too smart to figure that one out. Yeah.
Do you think Palm Beach International Airport is good for Palm Beach or bad for Palm Beach? Why not?
Well, in what context am I supposed to take that? If you're talking about, is it good to have a big airport to bring more people into Palm Beach? Is that what you're thinking about?
Any way you want to take it, I think. I'm just asking.
There is no Palm Beach airport. It's in West Palm Beach.
True.
And West Palm Beach takes care of the people for all this vicinity of Florida. It's not just Palm Beach and West Palm Beach, and it's not just going south. Then you got Miami Beach Airport, but it takes in Del Rey and all these towns between here and there, and north and all of this. This is quite an airport that takes care of an awful lot of people. In addition to Palm Beach. Palm Beach is probably the smallest of all the ones that take care of. One Boca Raton, there's Del Rey, there's all that group.
One final question. Would you pick out 2 or 3 people that you've known here in Palm Beach that have struck you as, say, outstanding people, people of whom you were particularly fond?
Well, you got to reword that. As friends, as being intelligent, as accomplished something,
having accomplished something in the community. Have you made a major impact on the community?
People have made a major impact on the community. There's been a lot.
Yeah.
Over the period of years I've been here, there's been a lot. And
no 2 or 3 that strike you as...
No, I'd have to give that a little thought. Because if I name 2 or 3, I wake up in the middle of the night tomorrow and say, oh God, I should have known.
Oh, why did that so?
Yeah. All right. Like that. If you want me to think about it and couple of days, I'll give you some names.
Oh, I would like to know that.
But I don't want to just knock it off the cuff.
All right.
Now, what do you want to know? You want to know people who didn't just come down here to enjoy themselves, but who took a real...
Who have been a shaping force in the community,
and who wanted to keep Palm Beach what it is.
All right, I will add...
I love Palm Beach for what it was for.
Right.
And we have little buttons, you know, where it says, with a heart on it, and I love PB.
I haven't seen them. I will pick up the interview then for that discussion in a couple of days.
All right.